Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. I like the way that sounds. I'm new here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you clicked on this video, thank you. I need you. Today, I'm going to show you guys how to get started in crochet. So once you've got your supplies, you've got your yarn, you've got your hook, you've got your scissors, and you're like, what do I do now? Today we're going to go over how to get your slip knot started. I'll show you 2 different ways to do your slip knot, and then we'll go from there. I'll show you how you can start yarning over and creating your first chain, and we'll make your foundation chain today. So that's where we're going to start today, and we'll have videos in the future on how to build on your foundation chain. Let's start with the basics. Let's get it. Let's go. So grab your yarn, grab your hook. I just have a 5.5 millimeter and just some regular acrylic yarn right now. This ball looks so frail and weak. But any yarn will do while we're just practicing. Grab what you have and let's get started. Okay, so first I'm going to show you guys how to make a slip knot in the way that I do it. So there's a couple ways to make it. I'll show you the 2 ways that I know, and then I'll have to make a separate video for the 3rd way because I just always forget the 3rd way. But there is a secret 3rd way on how to do a slip knot. But this is the 2 ways that I know how to do it, so I'll show you guys how I know. So I'm going to set your hook aside for now, and then take your tail end here and just place it on the side of the hand. Okay, so you don't want to have it like this. This is a common mistake. Or you don't want to have it too long, but just sort of past your hand, or at least as long as it goes down to your pinky. So just have your tail end here. The piece that's in your hand is your tail end, and then this piece here that's attached to your ball is your working yarn. So you'll hear me refer to your working yarn and then this end as your tail end. So take your tail end and just place it here over your hand. And how I do it is I'll just put 2 fingers down, keep 2 fingers up, and then I kind of hold this in place with my thumb. So this is how you'll have it right now. You don't have to squeeze here. Just kind of keep 2 fingers up like this, like pow pow. So now that you have the pow pow, you're going to take your working yarn and just go ahead and make an X across the tail end there. So you have something that looks like this. Your tail end might come up a bit, but that's okay, just as long as you have this X here. And then, if you notice, between your fingers, you see that loop there? The piece of string that you see going across your 2 fingers, you have an X. You go like that. Take your working yarn, and then just put it in between your fingers there and pull it upwards, okay? You don't want that tail end to slip out because then it will come undone. So let me just grab that. Now I got a good grip on it, and I'm going to pull my working yarn through. You can do this gently and slow your first time around, but you'll get the hang of it quick. And that's your slip knot. So when you'll put it on your hook, and then just pull your working yarn to secure it against your hook. So that's the first way. It might seem very overcomplicated. I noticed that this is a way that confuses people. So I'm going to show you guys another way to do it. This is an easier way for kids as well. So if you're teaching kids, this is a good way to teach them. They learn very quickly this way. So just go ahead and just pull some yarn out, kind of just toss that ball out of the way. And then just kind of lay your yarn in this shape, this kind of U shape. And then I want you to go ahead and grab the end of your U, or the bottom of your U. You'll have a shape like this. Go ahead and grab the bottom here. And then you're just going to twist, okay? So twist this piece that you're holding on to until you have another twisty loop here. And then take these 2 fingers, go through your loop. You're going to grab this piece here, okay? This piece is your tail end, remember. Tail end, working yarn. So go ahead and go through this loop, grab your working yarn, just like this. So that's the working yarn piece I pulled through. And you see how it got a lot going on right now, right? Don't worry, it's better than it looks. All you have to do now is take your tail end and your working yarn. Keep holding on to this loop you pulled through and just give it a tug. And there you go. That's your second way to make a slip knot. On your hook and pull your working yarn to secure to your hook. And there you go. And you'll always have your little tail end hanging off here. You won't worry about that piece. So that's two different ways to do a slip knot. And I always forget the other ways. So I will post a video in the future on those ways. But for today, we just have two different ways to do a slip knot. I'm also going to show you guys how to start your first chain. Before you create your first chain, you're always going to have one loop on your hook, which is the loop we just created using a slip knot. So once you have your slip knot secured to your hook, this is going to serve as your starting loop. And then this is where knowing how to hold your yarn is very important. I like to do it like this. So I just wrap it around about 2 times until there's a good tension on here. So you don't want your loop to be too tight or too loose against your hook. And then you kind of want your working yarn to strum like a guitar string. You don't want it to be too loose, then it'll be hard to grab it, you'll get all tangled. And you don't want it to be too tight, because then it'll be really hard and you'll tighten up the loop on your hook. This will help control your tension. Tension is very important in crochet because it determines how easy it is to get through your loops, if your loops are tighter or bigger. So this can take some time getting used to. There are many different ways to hold your hook, to hold your yarn. A lot of people have different techniques to make them crochet faster, but this is the way that I know, so this is the way that I will teach you guys. And there are definitely other methods though if this method does not work for you. Just go ahead and grab your yarn however you feel comfortable, so that way you have some tension there and your working yarn is visible. You know where you're going to grab it at. Now you want to focus on how you hold your hook. Whatever works best for you. It could be this way, it could be this way, it could be like this. Whatever works best for you, just find your way on how to hold your yarn and how to hold your hook. Okay, so once you've learned what kind of tension you like and how you like to hold your hook, we're going to get into how to get through your first loop and create your first chain. So you have your tail end here. You may have it wrapped here, or you have your working yarn, however you may be holding it. You'll have your working yarn piece here, and then you'll have your one loop on your hook, your starting loop. The technique used to make your first chain is called yarning over. So you'll read this in patterns, you'll see this in patterns often, and I'm going to show you guys how to yarn over. So you'll have your working yarn here, your tail end here. And before you do this, I just want to make a disclaimer, okay? Pay attention to how you're holding your yarn. When you figure out how you want your working yarn up here, then take these 2 fingers and pinch right here where your tail end here is. That will give you control of your starting loop on your hook, and it'll keep it from sliding around when you don't want it to. So if you experience that you're yarning over and your loop is just wobbling around all over the place, then it's probably because you're not holding tight enough down here. So pay attention to your tail end and how it's attached to this loop here. So pinch there, and that'll help you keep a nice grip on this loop here so it's not flailing everywhere. So hold here, nice and tight. Have your working yarn there. Now we're going to yarn over. When you yarn over, pay attention to where your hook is and which way it's facing. So my hook is facing toward the right. I'm going to yarn over by taking my hook and wrapping around just once. If your yarn looks like this, you wrapped around twice. So just pay attention. You're only going to do it one time, okay? So once again, holding here, working yarn there, starting loop, and your hook facing to the right. You're ready to yarn over. Yarn over. Nice. Once you yarn over, you've done that step. So that's the first step to starting your first chain. So yarn over, and you'll have something that looks like this. Now, your hook should still be facing toward the right. You're going to want to twist it until your hook is facing toward the left. Now pull just your hook down until it hooks on to the piece that you just yarned over. Now keep pulling your hook down and through to make your first chain. And that's your first chain. Show you guys again. So you'll have one loop on your hook again once you get through your first chain. One loop on hook, holding tight here, and you're working yarn there. So you're going to yarn over and pull through. Once again, hook facing to the right, starting loop, tugging here, working yarn here. Yarn over, twist your hook, pull down through the loop. And see how we've got our first couple chains working there? Looking really good. So go ahead and just repeat those same steps until you have a foundation chain that you're comfortable with. If you need to make the longest foundation chain in the world, that's fine. You can always undo it. So do it until you feel comfortable about your chains. So I'll do it up close again for you guys so you can see nice and close and clearly. We have our chain going. Hook to the right, starting loop, holding here, working yarn. Yarn over, twist your hook, pull through. Yarn over, twist your hook, pull through. And just repeat. And just keep repeating until you feel very comfortable with your chains. They should be about this size. This is the typical size of your chains here. So this is like right in the middle, right there, right on the dot. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when a chain is too loose and what it looks like when a chain is too tight. An extremely loose chain usually happens when your loop loosens up against your hook. So you have this huge space here, and then when you yarn over and go through, you have a very big gap here. So see the size in comparison to your smaller ones here? That's too big. So always know you can undo your stitches and just go back to your last one. You should be able to pull it so it fits nicely against your hook. Not too tight, not too loose. And then yarn over and pull through. And that's the size we're going for here. So when your working yarn is too tight here, and the loop on your hook is too tight, you wind up having a hard time even getting through the stitch. And then when you do get through, you have a very tiny stitch that you won't be able to get through later on. So just be very aware of your stitches being just the right size, and so they'll come out nice and consistent, nice and even, super clean, and they'll be easy to go into later in your project. So now you'll have your foundation chain. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really hope that you guys found it helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and then if you want to like, if you want to subscribe, that would mean the world to me. So if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe, give it a like, give it a comment, and you'll see more from me soon. Till next time, y'all have a great